Britain is facing a question it never answered. Every nation, sooner or later, reaches a moment where its past knocks on the door of the present. For Britain, that moment is now. The debate around Sharia law isn't an accident. It's not a sudden crisis appearing out of nowhere. It is deeply and directly connected to a history of how power was built, how faith was used, and how justice was delayed for centuries. This isn't about one religion versus another. This is about a universal principle of justice finally catching up with a story that was left unfinished. The soul of a nation remembers what its history books try to forget. Britain honors its kings and queens, celebrating symbols of power, but it has not fully confronted what that power cost the rest of the world. When a nation celebrates its symbols without accountability, justice doesn't just vanish. It waits. The universal law of justice doesn't rush. It observes, and it keeps a perfect record. Let's be clear, faith was never innocent in the story of power. For centuries, Christianity was the faith protected by the British monarchy. It enjoyed legal recognition, cultural dominance, and immense political power. But history records a darker side to this. During the 17th, 18th, and even 19th centuries, countless innocent people were imprisoned, tortured, or executed in the name of religious purity. Accusations of heresy became weapons. Faith became an instrument of fear and control. This isn't a condemnation of Christianity as a belief system. It's an exposure of what happens when any faith becomes fused with unchecked, absolute power. No religion stays pure when it serves an empire. And that empire was built on silence and suffering. Wherever the British Empire set foot, it left a trail of domination. Nations were overtaken, their resources extracted, their cultures suppressed, and their populations reduced to subjects. Think about the consequences. Orphans, broken families, stolen land, and engineered famines. These weren't unfortunate accidents. They were systemic tools of control. The British monarchy didn't expand its influence through mercy. It expanded through force, economic greed, and a calculated strategy of divide and rule. This history is rarely taught honestly in schools, and what is not acknowledged cannot be healed. It festers beneath the surface, waiting for its moment to emerge. This brings us to the core of the issue. Why does the Sharia law debate even exist in Britain today? It exists because legal systems are never morally neutral. People seek frameworks that promise justice, order, and accountability, especially when they feel excluded or unheard by the existing system. When people lose faith in institutions, when they feel the law doesn't serve them or protect them, they naturally start searching for alternatives. This video is not here to promote or endorse Sharia law. It's here to explain the underlying reasons why societies turn toward alternative systems when trust in the mainstream erodes. It's a symptom of a much deeper problem. The truth is, for generations, the deeper understanding of universal justice was deliberately withheld. This wasn't by accident. It was because a population that understands cause and effect, a population that understands consequence, is much harder to rule through fear. Truth doesn't serve empires. Truth liberates individuals. Secrets were hidden because truth breaks the architecture of control. When people are kept in the dark about their own history and the universal principles that govern existence, they are easier to manage and manipulate. But justice cannot be delayed forever. The earth records everything. History records everything. The universal law forgets absolutely nothing. Time doesn't erase responsibility. It simply prepares the harvest. What was sown in the past will inevitably be reaped in the present. This isn't about revenge, it's about balance. Universal justice isn't about hatred or vengeance. It's about cause and effect. It's a fundamental law of the universe, like gravity. Violence creates instability. Domination creates resistance. Suppression creates an equal and opposite return. This principle isn't religious, it's universal. It applies to everyone, everywhere, at all times. So, what we are witnessing is not the end, it is the reckoning. Britain's future won't be decided by one law, one religion, or one heated debate. It will be shaped by whether the nation can finally face its own past without denial, without excuses. Justice does not ask for permission. It arrives when the conditions for its arrival are fulfilled. The imbalances created over centuries must be corrected. The energy of injustice that was put out into the world must return to its source to be balanced. This is the principle of reaping what you sow. It is not a threat, it is not a prophecy. It is a universal law, as precise and undeniable as mathematics. The universal law of justice is patient, but it is always exact. What is sown will be reaped. In proportion, in truth, and in time. The discussion around Sharia is merely one manifestation, one symptom of this great rebalancing. It is a mirror forcing a nation to look at its own reflection and see the unresolved parts of its identity. The path forward requires honesty. It requires a radical willingness to look at the uncomfortable truths of the past. Not with guilt, but with a commitment to understanding and accountability. Healing can only begin when the wound is acknowledged. Britain stands at a crossroads, and the choice it makes will define its soul for generations to come. Will it continue to cling to a sanitized version of its history, or will it have the courage to face the truth and, in doing so, find a more just and balanced future? If this message resonates with you, if you believe that truth and justice are essential, then subscribe to our channel. The time for silence is over. Truth matters, justice matters, and understanding these universal principles is the first step toward creating a better world for everyone. Thank you for watching.